If you're among the millions of people with Parkinson's disease that manage your symptoms with medication, you're certainly not alone. But is medication the only way that you can fight against Parkinson's disease? That's what we're going to be talking about in this video today, PD Myth Bust episode number 5. We're also going to be talking about polypharmacy, or greater than 5 prescription medications, and how this is a growing problem, especially here in the United States of America. So without further ado, let's get this show on the road. Hit it. Well, if you've been following the PD Myth Bust series at all, you know that, spoiler alert, it's not true. But I do think it's important to highlight what is true, and that is that there are many ways to fight against Parkinson's disease, of course including medication, but above and beyond medication, and things that can help sometimes and arguably even more than medication. So medications to fight against Parkinson's disease have primary roles. Carbidopa-levodopa's primary role, or levodopa by itself, its primary role is to provide a synthetic form of dopamine for the brain to use. Now also, in addition to that, there are medications like dopamine agonists which mimic the mechanism of dopamine and have the same effect. There are other medications that also act to help to prevent uptake of dopamine or to keep those levels more stable. Now listen. I'm not going to be here on the internet and say that you're not going to need to take medication for Parkinson's disease. I'm not going to say that. To say that would not necessarily be very honest, and it wouldn't necessarily be very prudent. However, with that being said, there are other things that are just as important as medication that you should include in your regimen for fighting against Parkinson's disease. Number one is exercise. Exercise has been research proven for decades now to have a tremendously positive effect on fighting against Parkinson's disease. And we can go into that in other videos as well in more detail, but I will tell you just in brief that exercise can help to improve dopamine levels. It helps to improve other neurotransmitter levels such as serotonin and acetylcholine, all of which can help with some of the motor and non-motor symptoms of Parkinson's disease. Something else you should highly consider that I would recommend is looking into supplementation. So in other videos we talked about supplementing for neuropathy and other conditions like that. In addition to that though, there are supplements out there that are gaining traction and showing positive effects for folks with PD. The most prominent of which out there right now is high-dose thiamine, or B1. So this vitamin B1 in high doses tends to help with the symptoms of Parkinson's disease. Now, it's not a guarantee that it's going to help every single individual with Parkinson's disease, but it's certainly something that's worthwhile and worth checking out for yourself. There's a lady named Daphne, I forget her last name, but she has got videos here on YouTube about this topic and her experience with high-dose vitamin B1. And also there's a Facebook group that I believe she's a part of where I would recommend checking out. In addition to that, there are supplements such as glutathione and also mecunopurians. Mecunopurians is known to help with levels of dopamine. In addition to supplementation, there are other treatment options out there, especially for some of the crippling physical limitations that can happen with PD. We talked about DBS and debunked the myth last time that DBS is experimental treatment. I'm not going to go into details on that in this specific video, but I will link it up here above. Going back to exercise for a moment, there was a highly popular video that I released back in March about fast walking and potentially reversing symptoms of Parkinson's disease with fast walking. I'll also link that above. In that video, we talked about a gentleman named John Pepper and how he, anecdotally at least, has reversed most of, if not all, the symptoms that have limited him in his Parkinson's diagnosis. Okay, so we talked about supplementation, we talked about exercise, we talked about DBS. What else is out there? Something we haven't talked about yet in terms of helping Parkinson's disease is diet changes and lifestyle changes. The truth is, with Parkinson's disease, you may have to eliminate some things from your diet or at least reduce them, particularly for your medications to have the best effectiveness. For example, high protein in your diet is going to be detrimental to absorption of levodopa. So you're going to want to pare down protein in your diet to maybe 1 meal per day with a little bit higher level of protein. You're also going to have to time your meals around when you take your medications. Medication dosages with Parkinson's are crucial, and they must be taken on time for most effectiveness and to stay on as much as possible. So you're going to want to take your medication at least 30 minutes before planning to eat, or if you've already eaten, you want to wait until at least an hour after you've eaten. The reason being that your stomach needs to empty in order for that medication to go through and into the intestine. If you've ingested a meal with high protein, the amino acids break up in the gut, and those amino acids have to cross the barrier or the membrane between the lumen of the intestine and the bloodstream. In doing so, they will block the levodopa from being absorbed. It will literally wait in line for the amino acids that have been broken down to go through before levodopa can be absorbed. So you really want to maximize the timing so that your levodopa is either the first thing that you ingest 30 minutes before eating, or you give the stomach an hour to empty so that the medication can go directly into the gut once you take it. So those are some examples of lifestyle changes. The other thing is sleep. If you've had a habit of staying up super late and getting up early, basically tearing up your body and your mind in the process, you really are going to need to adjust that. Ideally, whether you get 6 hours in bed or 8 hours in bed or 10 hours in bed, whatever optimal time is right for you, the point is you want to try to go to bed and to get up at the same time consistently every single night. The reason being that your circadian rhythm is going to be super off anyway because of Parkinson's. Dopamine levels fluctuating really messes with sleep and dream states. So the thing about it is you don't want to be going to bed at different times, odd times at night, and getting up at odd times during the day or in the morning. You want to make it as consistent as possible so that you can basically train yourself or train your mind into recognizing that this is time for sleep and this is time for getting up. I've covered sleep hygiene in previous videos, which I'll link in the description and or a card above. I guess it'd be over here. But anyway, I won't go into those details again, like a lot of other things we talked about in this video today, but suffice it to say that sleep hygiene is really important. So that goes into something that you can do to help with Parkinson's as well. There's a lot more we could go into about lifestyle in this video, and I don't want this to turn into like a 30-minute long video. So I'm going to go into the next topic and then I'll conclude with this. We're going to talk about briefly the topic of polypharmacy and why I really am glad that the myth that Parkinson's can only be treated with medication, or that there's basically not much more you can do other than medication. I'm glad that that's not true. I'm glad that we're busting that myth officially, because if that were true, then polypharmacy would always be a problem for persons with Parkinson's disease. And I can tell you right now, it is a problem for persons with Parkinson's disease. Polypharmacy is a problem for folks that are 65 plus that don't have Parkinson's disease. If you saw the short that I did as a teaser for this video, you'll realize what I'm talking about. Now, I did some research, found a particular article by the American Biochemistry and Molecular Biology Society. I think it's ABMBS. I'll put a link in the description, and I'll also put a caption for that if I got that wrong. But anyway, this particular article shows some really staggering statistics in the United States in particular when it comes to polypharmacy. Now, they compared numbers for a 2-decade span between 1994 and 2014.
Is that 30 years?
That would be 3 decades. Anyway, between 1994 and 2014, the number of persons that had polypharmacy, which again as a definition is 5 medications or greater, increased from 14% in 1994 to 42% in 2014. That is a drastic increase in the amount of prescription of medications in this country. Now, I'll put a link to this article in the description, as I said, because I want you to be able to see these statistics in a little more detail. And again, this is one article by one organization, but it does, I hope, give one pause into the fact that these are 5 prescription medications or higher. This isn't supplements, this isn't vitamins. These are prescription medications. In persons with Parkinson's disease, obviously, a lot of folks have other conditions besides PD that are being managed with other medications. So you add Parkinson's medications on top of that, plus medications to treat the side effects of those medications, and medications to treat the side effects of the medications to treat side effects, you get where I'm going with this, right? What I found really interesting about the article by this organization is that the person that's an example in their article is a person with Parkinson's disease that essentially eliminated all the medications on her list down to just the ones that help manage PD. And she said her lifestyle drastically improved. Her quality of life, how she feels, drastically improved. You got people that are medicated, double, triple medicated sometimes for conditions like high blood pressure. That's just one example. Whereas in some cases, one medication might do the trick. It just depends on the individual and depends on how well their blood pressure can be managed with medication. But you get the point. There are often times where medications are added upon medications and they're never taken off their list. And you've got multiple physicians prescribing medications, which can complicate the issue even further. So all of this to say that there's way more that you can do other than medication to treat Parkinson's disease. Again, to reiterate, medication is crucial. You must take medication to manage the symptoms of the disease, particularly with your movement limitations, as well as potentially medications to help with the non-motor symptoms.
That being said,
exercise can greatly help with the motor and the non-motor symptoms of Parkinson's disease, so you must add that to your regimen if you're going to successfully fight this disease. In addition to that, as I said before, you must look into supplements because they could really help you. Adjust your lifestyle, manage the disease as if it's your full-time job, because essentially to maintain the best quality of life possible and to manage the disease and keep progression at bay as best you can, you need to adopt a lifestyle that centers around making your life as good as possible living with a progressive chronic disease. Find a movement disorder specialist. That's my last piece of advice in this video. And again, I'm going to link up here a card to a video I talked about how it's very important to find a movement disorder specialist to help you manage Parkinson's disease, because they are specialists in managing the condition that you have, among others, as well as the fact that they're balancing all those medications between the ones you're taking for other conditions as well as Parkinson's medications and their side effects. They're truly experts in that, and a good MDS is going to help you, especially to advocate for you to pare down medications if necessary with other physicians that you may be seeing to manage other medical conditions. I've talked a lot in this video. That's all I've got to say for now. I really hope you've enjoyed this. Please let me know in the comments what you thought about this video. Let me know how many medications that you're taking, and if you feel like it's too many or if it's just the right amount. I don't feel like there's anybody I know that says they're taking just the right amount of medications. Anyway, I hope you'll subscribe to this channel if you like this content, and I hope you'll share it with others so that they can learn about Parkinson's disease and how to live their best life. As always, it's been a pleasure to be with you for this video. This has been Parkinson's disease myth bust number 5. We have officially busted this myth, and I look forward to the next video. Peace, be empowered. I'll see you later.